Hi guys, so we're gonna take off and do some shopping today, and I thought, why not take you guys along with me? I'm planning on checking out my library book sale, which is always really good deals, and then maybe a little free library, and then I think we're gonna end up going to Walmart at the end because I have a few things I need to pick up there, so we might as well check out their books, see if there's anything there. I don't really tend to look at their book section, but I know they have one, so I thought, let's check it out, and then we'll come back here and do the haul. So let's get into the book shopping. So I'm actually afraid to count how many books I ended up with. But the books at the library I got for $14 in total. Like, come on. And it's supporting my library, so just let's get into it. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with mystery. I only have two like mysteries that aren't cozy, so I'll put those at the end, but we're gonna start with mysteries for starters. So I did check out some books for my library, and then most of these are books that I bought, so we'll kind of go back and forth. But one I checked out for my library is Tide and Punishment, a seaside cafe mystery by Bree Baker. This is actually a Christmas cozy. It's the third book in this series, and I would typically prefer to read this during the holidays, but because it's set at a beach, I feel like it'll still feel seasonal enough for me. I feel like this whole series is just perfect for summer especially. But our main character in this is Everly Swan, and she runs an iced tea shop right on the beach, which is a really fun premise. And her aunt is actually going to be running against a long-time opponent for mayor of the town. But when that opponent shows up dead, all eyes turn to her aunt. Everyone knows Aunt Fran couldn't have had anything to do with it, of course, but Everly is going to clear her aunt's name. So I'm really excited for this. I think this will be really fun and cozy. I've really enjoyed book 1 and 2. I just kind of got off track and never grabbed the next book in the series, so I'm back on it now. Okay, one I found at the book sale was Murder on Cape Cod by Maddie Day. This is a Cozy Capers book group mystery. I've had this on my TBR for a while, so when I saw this at the book sale, I was like, oh my goodness, I need to take this. Plus, it takes place during summer, so that's perfect because I'm definitely someone who's very typically like a seasonal reader, I would say. So it's summer and it's busy season for our main character Max. She runs a bike shop on Cape Cod and it's very busy, and she actually has an argument with a handyman who's kind of down on his luck in the area. Later he turns up dead and the police think she's a suspect. There's another problem though. Max knows she didn't do it, of course, but she recognizes the murder weapon as one of her brother's like fishing knives or something like that, and she's really concerned, so she gets involved in the case, and there turns out to be so many suspects within this small town. Very excited for this. This sounds so cozy, and I just love a Cape Cod setting. Another one that really piqued my interest at the book sale was Murder in the Mystery Suite by Ellery Adams. This is a book retreat mystery. Virginia is for book lovers, and this is book 1 in the series, just like the last one, so I really lucked out in terms of it being at the sale. I could not love the premise for this more. So our main character is Jane. It takes place in West Virginia, and she runs a story themed hotel for book lovers, and she wants to take it to the next level by running like a mystery role-playing game at the hotel. So she has all these people who want to be sleuths gathered together. Unfortunately, the person who solves it and wins a valuable book is later found dead in the mystery suite, and Jane realizes that one of her sleuths is actually a murderer. Everything about that is such a good premise. I cannot wait for this. I have so many bookish cozies in this cozy mystery stack. I don't know what happened, but I'm really excited. And this one sounds delightful. Let me know if you've read it. So one I was super excited to see, my library finally got this in. I think it came out last summer, and that's A Shimmer of Red by Valerie Wilson Wesley. This is the third in the Odessa Jones mystery series, which is a supernatural series. The main character has some kind of psychic abilities. She can kind of I think they call them, what do they call them? Glimmers in this series, but she kind of can see people's auras or moods, kind of a color around them. But it's very light on the supernatural, which I like because it doesn't really give her a huge advantage with the sleuthing. It's just one little component, which is what I love. So our main character is Odessa, and she kind of works 2 jobs. She got the second sight, the psychic ability, but she works at a kind of sleazy real estate office, but because of certain events that have led people to come back to town, she has been getting a flood of business, so she's finally a little more financially stable. She's enjoying life, but she doesn't need a second sight to see that her coworker Anna is really unsettled. Things get worse though when Anna is killed in a hit and run, and Odessa starts digging into it and realizes that there's a huge number of people who could have done it. There could have been people from her past job, and Odessa's ex-fiance actually shows up on the scene wanting to get Odessa back, and he also has a strange connection to Anna that makes him a suspect. So excited for this. This series is so well written and amazing, and I love Odessa and her family, so I can't wait for this. This one I found at the book sale, and I thought it was so cute. It's called Murder at Tea Time, Mysteries in the Classic Cozy Tradition, but it's got a slew of classic authors here, so you have a bunch of different little British cozy short stories in here, and I'm trying to read more classics and just kind of expand my mystery reading. So I want to read Dorothy L. Sayers for sure. I haven't read some of these others though. Yeah, I don't think I've read any of these. Like, I'm not familiar with Nell Lamburn or David Brawley, Ruth Randall, Margaret. We have Marjorie Allingham, Dorothy L. Sayers. So these are all short stories. They're all about like 20-ish pages long. So I think this will be the perfect length, and I am trying to read more short stories, so I thought this would be a good addition. And it was less than $1 for this book. So what else? Come on, like, I had to take it home with me. Another one I'm really excited for. I've had this on hold in my library for so long, and it finally came, and that is The Poison Pen by Paige Shelton. This is part of the Scottish Bookshop Mystery Series. It is the 2024 release for this series. I was a little disappointed by the 2023 release. It wasn't as strong as the others in my opinion, so I'm really excited to hopefully get back on track with the series because I love our main character Delaney. She's an American who is from the Midwest, but she moves out to Scotland in the first book to pursue a dream and to work in this eccentric bookshop where she's going to be kind of like archiving and like looking at bookish relics and things as well, because the bookshop owner Edwin is like very wealthy and he's got this huge collection he wants her to manage as well as working in the bookshop. And in this book, the entire team and the country are mourning Queen Elizabeth II's death, and her boss Edwin comes to her with a special assignment. He wants her to visit his friend Jolie's estate because she thinks that she might have some kind of like relic or like journal that could prove that someone else has the right to the throne. And on top of that, a murder does occur, of course, so Delaney gets involved in that. If you like bookish cozies, if you like Scotland, if you like learning a little bit about history and like literature and things like that, I think you'll really like this series. There's a lot of that in this, and Delaney just has so much heart. I love her, so I cannot wait for this. This next one, so many of you have recommended to me, and I finally got my hands on it. It's called By Book or By Crook, and this is by Eva Gates, and this is the Lighthouse Library Mystery Series, and it's got the cutest, I think it's a Siamese cat on the cover. How adorable, and how perfect for summer. I mean, just again, I'm all for like the beachy vibes right now. So our main character in this is Lucy, and for 10 years she has been working with these tomes at like this Harvard library. And she's feeling exhausted. She's had some parts of her personal life kind of blow up, and she decides to move back to Outer Banks where her aunt and cousin are, and her cousin actually has like a bakery or like confection shop nearby. Amazing. And she gets involved with the local community, and she's working in her aunt's lighthouse library, but she is less than thrilled when a priceless Jane Austen novel goes missing and a library board member is found murdered. So she gets involved in the case. That cat is so cute. I'm so excited. I don't know what its name is yet, but it's so adorable and how perfect for spring or summer. Okay, this one I picked up on a whim at the library book sale. Again, it was just so cheap and I haven't heard of it. It's called Live, Let Die. It's a clueless cook mystery by Liz Lipperman. Have you heard of this? I haven't seen this before, and it looks really cute. It's a little bit beat up, the book itself, but I'm curious. It came out in 2011, so it is on the older side. And this is the author's first novel, it looks like, so even better. This one has such a kooky premise. Our main character is Jordan, and she dreams of being a sports columnist, but she's been mostly writing personal ads, and she actually gets asked to fill in as a food critic. Now, this gets her closer to her preferred job and, you know, more notoriety. But the problem is that she doesn't even know how to cook like boxed mac and cheese. So how is she going to be a food critic? Well, she takes her first assignment, which is at a steakhouse. And she knows she shouldn't have hid the foie gras in her purse, her friend's purse nonetheless, but she did. She took it home, and now a murdered waiter from that restaurant shows up outside her door with her like name and phone number on them. I'm so excited. I think this sounds so much fun. I'm kind of getting the Jane Austen mystery series by Laura Levine vibes with this, with the writing and the kooky assignments and stuff. So I can't wait for this. It sounds fun. Let me know if you've read this series because I have never heard of it before. Okay, so I'm pretty sure this is a cozy mystery. If for some reason it's not, I'll pop that on screen. But it's called Grave Reservations by Sherry Priest. And I mean, look at this cover. It looks like a cozy, right? I mean, it's giving cozy vibes. So it says that Lita is a devoted friend, struggling travel agent, and inconsistent psychic. So this is just the greatest plot. I love this. So Lita, like she said, she's an inconsistent psychic. She's a travel agent. Well, she books this detective's flight, but then she ends up rebooking the flight, and then the first plane that he would have been on like explodes or blows up or there's some kind of accident. And now he's convinced that her psychic abilities can help him solve a cold case, which just so happens to be the murder of her fiance. So excited for this. I'm so excited for this. I'm all in for this, and this cover absolutely so darling. The name of this next one is called Scone Cold Dead by Caitlin Dennett. It's a Liz McCrimmon mystery. So our main character in this is Liz, and she's a professional Scottish dancer. However, she has a really serious knee injury, so she has to go back home, and she's recuperating. She's going through physical therapy. She's actually helping like teach some dance lessons around town, which she's enjoying, but you know, she's really just missing that part of her life and just kind of struggling with it. Well, she actually gets to arrange for her old like dance friends to come to town and put on a performance, which she's really excited for, until one of the company members ends up taking a bite of one of her Scottish scones, which I'm very curious about what that is, and dies. And then Liz is a suspect and is on the case. I'm really excited for this. I really like when a sleuth and a cozy is like reinventing themselves from a different career, whether it's because they were kind of forced out of the career, like an injury like this, or because they were burnt out. I feel like that's so amazing because so many people do end up reinventing themselves throughout their career, and I think that's just really cool. So I'm really excited for this. It sounds fun and just like a cozy, delicious fun time, and I want to learn more about the Scottish dancing. So I have been flying through this cozy mystery series, and my library did have the next one, which I'm excited for. It is in large print, so the book looks very like large comparatively, but it's called Getting Old is Criminal, a Gladdy Gold mystery by Rita Lakin, and I cannot wait. So Gladdy Gold is like a modern day Miss Marple. She is retired, she lives in a retirement community, and her gals have their own detective agency after the events of the first book. And in this one, they are going undercover at a ritzy like retirement place to find a killer. And her sister, Evie, or like Evie, is going to be like playing the part of a flirt, but she just might wander into the arms of the killer. I can't wait. If you like the Jane Austen mystery series by Laura Levine, I think you would really enjoy this too, because it's got a very comedic, funny, punchy writing style. I absolutely adore it. I cannot wait to read more. I just did a vlog actually where I read one of these, so I'll link that above if you're curious. So I'm planning, I think, on doing a bookish cozy mystery reading vlog, because these next 3 books are all bookish but summery, and you'll see what I mean in a minute. I have Murder at the Lakeside Library, a Lakeside Library mystery by Holly Danvers. This is the first in the series, and it just looks so charming. So our main character in this is Rain, and she has returned home to her family's cozy log cabin on a lakefront property, basically because her husband unfortunately has died like very untimely, and she's just grieving. She needs to go back home, and her cabin actually has a library built into it, and her mother Willow has been kind of away for the summer, so Rain decides to kind of rededicate herself to the library and reopen it. However, someone ends up dead and murdered at that library, and her mother is accused of it because of her kind of absence throughout the summer, which is maybe unusual, and Rain gets involved in the case. So I'm thinking about this. Let me know if you want to do like a bookish cozy mystery reading vlog, because I have a couple here that I think would do very well. This next one is one that one of you recommended to me, and it looks so cute. It's called Murder by the Seashore by Samara Yu. This is a California bookshop mystery, so again, bookstore, we got the ocean, we got the water, it just looks perfect. So our main character in this is Scarlett, and she has had this dream to open a bookshop in Southern California, so she is opening it, but she expected to do so with her boyfriend. It sounds like something happened there, and now she's not only like reeling from maybe the loss of her relationship, but also the financial loss, and she's struggling to keep it afloat. On top of that, she discovers something beneath the bookshop, a body, and it's not looking so good for her. She, you know, gives her statement to the police. She thinks she's cleared, but it turns out that she's a suspect and she's got to clear her name. And then last but not least, for specifically cozy mysteries, I have How to Book a Murder, a starlit bookshop mystery by Cynthia Kun. And again, I think this would be perfect. I'm thinking we got to do this bookish cozy reading vlog now. It just seems too many cute books. Plus, look at the cat right there. So our main character is Emma. She has a new PhD and she's also running this starlit bookshop, which is kind of struggling, but under like the urging of a friend who's rather well off, Tabitha, she decides to host this mystery themed dinner. I couldn't get enough of this theme. I love it. Unfortunately, Tabitha's husband ends up murdered at this dinner and a lot of eyes turn to her, and I think it's her Aunt Nora, and her Aunt Nora is also a famous mystery writer. So they are suspects in this, and they are being helped now by another guest who's actually has like a gothic inclination. They're very interested in what's happening, and they suggest doing like a Poe themed event to kind of get the bookshop back on its feet while they solve the mystery. How cute. I'm so excited for this. It looks amazing. The covers on these, they're doing such a good job. They're beautiful. Alright, moving on to thrillers. I picked up at my library book sale Not a Happy Family by Sherry Lapina, and I've had some pretty good reads from her. I've really enjoyed a bunch of them. I'm gonna see if I can get the sticker off, hopefully. But the Brecon Hill is in upstate New York and it's a very expensive place to live. However, this couple can afford it. They're very well off and they are out one night to dinner when they are brutally murdered. Now they have 3 kids and their kids should be devastated, right? But they're also inheriting millions because of how wealthy their parents are. So the question is did one of the siblings snap? I mean, their mother was a bit neglectful, it sounds like. Their father had some issues. Did one of them snap? Did one of them do it for the money? We're gonna find out. So that's the premise for this. I love a good like domestic thriller, so this sounds great. Another one I snagged was by Karen Slaughter, who I've now read one book from and really enjoyed. It was very, very dark, but it was very well written and just a lot of fun in terms of like the twists and turns. And this is called Fallen. So our main character in this is Faith Mitchell, and she is a cop, but she is using her instincts in this one because she thinks something is wrong with her mother. Her mother's not picking up the phone. She arrives at her mom's house and she finds blood on the doorknob. Nobody's answering. She breaks into the house, you know, gun drawn and everything, and she finds a man dead in the home and a hostage situation. But her mother is nowhere to be found. So now with the help of her partner, she's going to need to solve this. The problem is she's not only a witness and obviously very personally attached to this crime, but she's also a suspect. So I'm really curious to see how this turns out. Karen Slaughter, definitely very, very brutal and graphic with her writing, but it always seems to be handled in a way it's meant to make a very strong statement, and that's what she accomplishes, is what I've found so far. One of the books I got at Walmart was The Mother Next Door by Tara Lukowski, and this is called a witty, wicked thriller by Andrea Bartz, and the cover really drew me in. Just the red hair, I have to say, it caught my attention. So this takes place in a suburban area, like a cul-de-sac, and called Ivy Woods. And there is these moms named the Ivy Five. There are 5 of them, and they host this annual block party that's like the it party. Everyone wants to be there, and they have their secrets. And after all, good mothers don't admit to their wrongs, right? Well, the thing is the Ivy Five actually hasn't been 5 for a while. They've been 4. A new mother moves in though, and she becomes the 5th member. However, as the block party approaches, the group begins to receive like these threatening messages about someone who might reveal their secrets, and they have to figure out who is disloyal, what is going on. Again, like kind of a domestic thriller. I'm very excited for this, and this cover, oof, gives me the chills. Another one I found was When No One Is Watching by Alyssa Cole. I've heard this is really good, and I think this cover is just absolutely so fun. So this is a very interesting premise. Our main character is Sydney, and she is a Brooklyn born native, and she's just sad to see her neighborhood's really changing. A lot of the original buildings are being torn down, turned into condos, and she's just feeling really sad about that. And to kind of channel this emotion, she starts a walking tour, and she quickly connects with this man named Theo, who is also feeling the same way. He's actually a new resident of the area, but the 2 of them start to dive into the history and the gentrification of the area, and there is more paranoia and fear, and even some conspiracy about some of the people being driven to live in the area. So they're gonna find out what's what with that. Very excited. This one sounds really good. It's described as an intense psychological thriller, and I love those, so I can't wait for this. Alright, my camera died, so I took a quick break and let it cool down and painted my nails, and now we're gonna resume thrillers. So another one I found at the library book sale that I'm super excited for is called I Can Be a Better You by Taryn Fisher, and this seems like a psychological thriller. So basically we have our main character Fig, and she is in her 30s. She's just really fed up with life. She's just feeling like, you know, she's struggling with like her weight, she's struggling with her marriage. It sounds like her husband's cheating on her. She's very unsatisfied with life. And then she comes across this woman named Jolene who seems to have everything she wants in life. So she becomes more and more like Jolene until maybe she takes it too far. And I'm really excited. I don't know why. Is this like a pomegranate, I think, on the cover? I'm not sure what that means, but I'm curious and this just caught my attention, and for 75 cents I was like, well, I mean, come on, like you're practically paying me to take the book at that point. So I took that one. Oh, so one that I'm planning on reading for the Murder and Mayhem readathon is, because it's green, so I get some extra points for my team for that, and that's The Nightside by M.M. DeLuca, 20 Years of Secrets, One Deadly Truth. And how gorgeous. It's got nature and green, so it'll be extra points on both of those. And this is described as an atmospheric thriller. And I love this type of thriller. So I've never read anything by this author. I'm very intrigued. Our main character is Ruby, and she had fled from her life, basically. She grew up with a mother who sounds like she was kind of like a psychic and like a scam artist, like a con artist. So she was taking advantage of people, ruining their lives. Ruby escapes from this. But years later, she is drawn back to her hometown because her mother has disappeared. And they don't know if it's murder or, you know, she took her own life. They don't know exactly what happened, but Ruby is trying to settle her mother Ida's affairs, and she's going through her home and she's uncovering more and more dark secrets about her mother. I am so intrigued. I love it. I cannot wait to read this, so that's gonna be amazing. Another one I found at the library, that was where I got most of the books for this. I unfortunately didn't find anything at the Free Little Library. I was a little bummed, but this one I got at the library book sale, and this is called Murder 8, a Nick Lawrence novel by Brian Shea. And I've never heard of this, but it sounds interesting, and it's a little outside my normal type of thriller or mystery because it does involve like an FBI agent, and I typically tend to go more with like everyday people or like small town kind of settings, but this one really caught my fancy. So our main character in this is Nick Lawrence, and he's an FBI agent, and apparently the author himself is actually served and like has like experience, so it's supposed to be a very like authentic fiction. And basically there is this new drug epidemic. There's a new drug on the market. It's very, very deadly, and overdoses are happening like crazy, unfortunately. And the latest one is the senator's daughter, and he is furious, and he wants this like crackdown on it like nothing else. So Nick and his team are on this case trying to basically crack down on this drug usage, but the more they dig into it, the more corruption they're finding. So I'm curious. It's a very short read. It's just under 200 pages, but I'm intrigued. I don't know, just something about this caught my attention, even though it's a little bit more of like, it sounds more like a procedural, but I thought it sounded interesting. Let me know if you've read this. So I scooped this one up because I've heard amazing things about this, and that is The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins. I just keep seeing this everywhere, and I've just heard such great things about it, and I love the cover, really fun. I might actually, as a mood read, pick this for the readathon because it is green and arguably nature, because it's like the blurred nature as the trains going by, I think. I don't know, but I'm curious. So this is described as a Hitchcockian thriller, very psychological, a possible unreliable narrator, and it's the debut for this author, which is really exciting, although I think this has been out for quite a bit. But basically we have our main character, Rachel, and she is on the train every day, and she really enjoys the commute. She loves looking out at the homes, and she's kind of gotten attached to this one couple, like Jason and his wife. They're usually outside, and she's breastfeeding their child, and she just, you know, kind of enjoys like that picturesque family cozy scene, until one day she spots something that really disturbs her. But when she goes to the police, they describe her as like an unreliable narrator, and this is kind of her story trying to see what, you know, what actually happened here is kind of the vibe I'm getting. I am really excited from this. It just sounds super, super interesting. And whenever something's described as Hitchcockian, I think it's should be pretty twisty, so I'm really looking forward to this. Okay, so a 2024 release I've had on hold at my library, and I just got my hands on it, and it's a debut, is 27 Minutes by Ashley Tate, and I'm super excited for this. The premise is fascinating, and I don't know how, like, I have no idea how this is gonna go, so I'm really excited to read it. So this book, it sounds like, takes place over 3 days, but we're kind of recalling a past event that happened 10 years ago. Basically, there was this emergency situation, and this brother, Grant, didn't call 911 for 27 minutes, that's the title, for his beloved sister Phoebe, and if he had, he might have saved her life. So it's very perplexing, like, what happened. Like, I don't know if he was in shock. I don't know if there was something. Just really strange, right? And so he's been keeping secrets all these years. His reputation has been absolutely destroyed, of course, because the town is looking at him very suspiciously. The anniversary of his sister's death is approaching, and he's also has someone else who was there that night who's keeping a secret for him. On top of that, we have another individual who lost someone close to them that same night, but no one really remembers them. They overlooked it for this strange mystery that had happened the same night. So that's kind of the general thing. I think there's going to be multiple points of views. Yeah, there's multiple points of views, and it just sounds really interesting. Just the title, 27 minutes, like, what a great hook. I love it. Okay, and then my last specific thriller is one that I'm finally picking up because I was on a readathon sprint or something recently, and everyone kept saying this was such a good Riley Sager, and I haven't read it, and that's Final Girls, a novel. And how fun. I mean, this cover is just so gripping. So this follows 3 different girls, or women really. I mean, they were in college or like young adults, but our main character is Quincy, and during her college year she went away to like a cabin with some friends, and she emerged as the only survivor. She ran through the woods to save her life. She refers to the attacker as only him. It was kind of like a slasher, I think, kind of sort of thing. It sounds like, based on some of the reviews on the back, that this pays homage to slasher flicks and film noir, so I'm curious about that. I've never watched a slasher flick because I don't do horror. Absolutely not, but we'll see how it goes with this. So years later, Quincy is doing okay, and she's also met 2 other women who have survived similar circumstances where they were the only survivor, and they've never met, but they're kind of talked about in the media, it sounds like. And she's doing okay thanks to some medication. She's got a fiance. Things are going okay until one of the other final girls who had survived like a horrific event like her ends up ending their own life. And then the second girl actually shows up at Quincy's doorstep, and now they're finally gonna be confronting past traumas and grief and stuff like that. So I'm very curious. It sounds like there's some immediate danger to them as well. So will there only be one final girl? I don't know. That's what I'm gonna read, so I'm very excited. Other than The House Across the Lake, I've really enjoyed every Riley Sager I've read, and I've read I think 3 others. The House Across the Lake just wasn't for me, but I'm really excited for this. So I have 2 kind of standard mysteries I got at the library book sale. This is the Christie Hercule Poirot's Case Book. Look at this. It's so huge, and it was like a couple dollars, and it has and it's got so many of his different short stories in it, so I'm really excited. I'm intimidated because this is such a big short story collection, but like I said, I'm really trying to continue incorporating those. I read through a whole Miss Marple short story collection last year, and I really enjoyed it, so I'm gonna get through this. We're gonna make it a goal. The other one, I honestly just picked this up because I loved the binding so much, and then it really pulled me in, and this is called The Scarlet Ruse and Two Other Great Mysteries by MacDonald. This was in the classic section, and I don't know what this is. Like, I have never heard of this author before. It looks like the books came out in 1964, 2 of them, and then one in 1973, and they include The Scarlet Ruse, The Deep Blue Goodbye, and Nightmare in Pink. And apparently this is a classic mystery writer. I mean, a fairly, like, recent classic mystery writer. But there's about 500 pages in total, and I've never heard of this author before, but like I said, I'm trying to expand into more classics as well, because I do really enjoy those, so this was one that I grabbed. And now we have our other section. If you like cozy stuff, there's a couple really great cozy ones in here. There's some interesting writing books, and 1 nonfiction, and 1 like random classics. So it's quite the smattering, but let's go through these. The one I'm probably most excited for, I found at Walmart. It's got sprayed edges. I think this is the only book I have that actually has sprayed edges, and it's so pretty. Oh, I didn't realize inside it has this beautiful like little illustration at the top, But this is the book, Can't Spell Treason Without Tea, a cozy fantasy steeped with love by Rebecca Thorne, and this is Tomes and Tea book 1, so it is a series, and I'm excited for this. Like, you guys know, I'm primarily a mystery reader. I don't read a ton of fantasy, but I do enjoy some cozy fantasy like Legends and Lattes. Loved that. And this cover and just everything about it just looks so beautiful. And it does say it's a cozy tale of mishaps, mysteries, and a murderous queen. So I'm curious. We have Raina, who is an assassin, like she's a trained security guard for this very self-centered queen, and after she's taken hostage, she's like, I'm done, I want to like open a bookshop with cozy tea, like I want to save her life. And then Chiante is a very powerful mage, like the most powerful mage in the area, and again the queen wants to take advantage of her abilities, but the two of them decide to leave together and they open this bookshop, but the queen is on a kind of vengeance war path. She's upset about them leaving. And it sounds like they are in a relationship together, so they settle in Townie, a town nestled in the icy tundra near Dragon Country, and open the shop of their dreams. So I'm really excited to follow this along. This cover could not be more adorable, honestly. Like, I mean, come on, that is so beautiful. Then I kind of got two random writing books. This one is called The Writing Game, a Comedy by David Lodge, and this is actually a play, and it's about amateur writers meeting professional writers in a creative writing course and kind of the conversations that come up, which is such a niche, weird, like, kind of topic, but I just came across it. It's just over 100 pages, and as someone who is a writer, I don't do creative writing at this point, but I just found that fascinating, the concept, and I'm kind of curious to see the conversations. So, and it's a comedy, so I'm expecting this to be kind of funny. The other one is A Writer's Diary by Virginia Woolf, and this book, it's seen better days, but I got this at the library book sale. And this is a guide to the art and mind of Virginia Woolf. Her husband put this together after her passing. It includes like diary entries, different notes and things she took, writing exercises, accounts of people and scenes relevant to the raw material of her book, and it goes from her first entry in 1918 to 3 weeks before her death in 1941. And I just find that to be fascinating. I personally love seeing the behind the scenes of how creative people's minds work. I find it very fascinating and inspirational, so I'm very excited. There's just a bunch of very interesting little tidbits that look in here, so I'm excited for this. This next one I'm trusting you guys on. So I recently read Nosy Neighbors by Freya Sampson, and I adored it. Like 5 stars, one of the best books I read this year. I mean, it's gonna have to make my top 24 of 2024. Like, it's so good. And you guys were telling me about The Last Chance Library by the same author. However, it's not a mystery, it's more, I think, more like a cozy fiction, maybe even a slight romance, which is definitely outside my typical reading. But what I love about this is it sounds like it's very community driven, just like Nosy Neighbors. So our main character is June. She's a 28-year-old librarian, and she's not someone who ventures outside the library. She really just stays in her comfort zone. She reads, that's where she's comfortable. But the library is threatened with it being closed down, and so she and a bunch of kind of quirky locals come together, along with a lawyer who sounds like he might have a thing for her, come together to try to save the library, and June might kind of come to grips with some of her past and insecurities and things like that along the way as they fight to save the library. So this just sounds like a really cozy, charming read. Again, I'm primarily a mystery reader, but I loved the author's writing in Nosy Neighbors, and you guys were so adamant that this was such a great book, so I had to pick it up after so many of you recommended it. Another one I found at the library book sale is My Antonia by Willa Cather. How stunning is this book? It's so beautiful, and this has been a book ever since I took like some literature courses in college and like high school that I've been meaning to get to. Like, it just always sounded intriguing to me, and I honestly don't even remember much about what this is, and there's not a summary on this. There isn't a summary, so I can't really give you guys much of a summary with this, but I think it's like kind of like an Americana classic, I want to say, and I've just always been curious about it. So when I saw this beautiful edition and for $1.50, I was like, okay, this is the world telling me it's time to pick up this book and get to it. And then last but not least, I picked up the 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma. This is called Own Your Morning, Elevate Your Life. Now, I just want to start off by saying I am a morning person. Not quite 5 a.m. I'm more like a 6 a.m. kind of gal. But I want to start off by saying I feel like some people have this like superiority thing with like morning people are better, it's better to wake up, and I feel like it's better to go with what suits you the best within your lifestyle. But since I am somebody who does like mornings, I am intrigued by this concept. I want to see what the recommendations are to really just increase and elevate the morning, because I feel like I've been a little bit lax in my own routine in the morning, and there's been a lot going on, so that's definitely part of it. But this, I think, will just give me a little kick in the right direction to kind of get my mornings back kind of where I want them to. And I can always use the inspiration. It's supposed to talk about how like business titans and great geniuses start their mornings. A step-by-step method to protect the quietest hours of daybreak so you have time for exercise, self-renewal, and personal growth. A neuroscience-based practice proven to help make it easy to rise while most people are sleeping. I don't typically have too hard of a time rising in the morning, but I would like some help maybe getting started with some better habits first thing, like maybe making breakfast. That's like the meal. I love cooking, but I really only make myself like lunch and dinner. Like I'm just always grabbing whatever's available, which is often not as good for you food. So I really want to like get in the habit of making breakfast, like maybe making some eggs and stuff like that. So I thought this would inspire me. I don't know. It was, again, it was like $1, so I was like, let's just give it a try. Oh my goodness, guys, such a big haul. Thank you for coming book shopping with me today. It was so much, I mean, book shopping already, so much fun, but taking you guys along was extra fun. I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know if you like the format where you guys come along with me for a bit of the book shopping and then I haul the books after. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that or feedback. Thank you guys again for watching, and if you do enjoy any type of like mystery or cozy bookish content, definitely hit subscribe. I post new content every week on this channel, and if you like anything from cozy mysteries, murder mysteries to thrillers, and the occasional oddball other genre like these eclectic ones at the end, I think you'll like this channel. So I hope you hit subscribe. I'll see you guys in my next video. Sending lots of love. Bye.